Daniel Karaoke, KTN News.
Now, in January 2021, approximately 100,000 teachers out of a total of 300,000 teachers in public institutions of basic learning might not be able to report for work due to COVID-19 fears or directives. First, about 100,000 of them are either school heads close to 58 years old or have underlying medical issues, therefore are at a higher risk of contracting COVID-19. With the disease showing bias for the elderly and people with underlying health conditions, a headache looms when teachers mix with students. Mark Namaswa explains.
Schools and education stakeholders in Nairobi busy readying themselves for January 2020.
We know that most directors could be the retired teachers or maybe people who are at that age bracket. What we are advising them is that this is the time for them to do active derogation.
But with full resumption of basic education in Kenya, the classroom is poised to become another COVID-19 battlefront. Some 300,000 teachers meeting pupils and students.
They have been called super spreaders. So when they are in school and then they go home, if they are not in boarding schools, then obviously the children can spread the disease very fast.
The logic here is that when COVID-19 fully established itself, it quickly showed it attacked older people more mercilessly than it did with younger ones. Medics say that some viral diseases like chickenpox also behave like this.
Even if they have the disease, they will be asymptomatic, they will not be sick. So the spread that is likely to take place when children go to school is another thing we have to think about.
To handle COVID-19, the government rolled out guidelines like social distancing and sanitization in schools. But with just grade 4, class 8 and Form 4 candidates in school, several schools have already reported infections and fatalities, mainly among teachers. This underlines COVID-19's bias for older people, an estimated 100,000 teachers, a third of the workforce.
You are the frontline soldiers in education, our teachers. And yet you keep going on without a complaint. We applaud you and you have our very deepest respect.
Teachers' unions worry on the preparedness and resources allocated to combat COVID-19 when millions of learners show up in January.
The information we are getting from the primary schools is that the learners came to school without masks. So even to train them on the simple safety protocol measures is a tall order, is a difficult task. The secondary schools, the 500 that was wired to school for this purpose is inadequate.
In October 2020, a report by the World Health Organization indicated that in many cases, infection of COVID-19 among pupils in school emanated from adults, for instance, teachers. The report also suggested that children under the age of 10 years were less likely to fall ill or even show symptoms of infection by COVID-19. In Spain, a study showed that in a class of 24 students, assuming the teacher was infected and nobody wore a mask, at least 12 students would get infected after 2 hours. In the same setting, assuming the teacher was infected, if the teacher and students all wore masks, then 5 students would be infected after 2 hours. However, if everyone in that class wore a mask and the lesson was paused every 1 hour to allow proper air circulation, infection rates will reduce significantly. Worldwide, some areas that already opened schools, such as New York State in the US, have already shut them after 8 weeks in what appears to be a second COVID-19 wave. However, COVID-19 trends in Africa and the rest of the world have not taken the same trajectory. Mark Namaswa, KTN News.
Panic has gripped Nakuru County after the death of London